Good morning. We're continuing our look this week at the ill-fated dinner party. A leader of the Pharisees had Jesus over for dinner, and the dinner really didn't go the way that the leader of the Pharisees thought it might, but there's so much for us to learn in that story. And so today we continue the story with Luke 14, verses 7 through 14. It reads, "When he noticed how the guests chose the places of honor, he told them a parable. When you're invited by someone to a wedding banquet, do not sit down at the place of honor, in case someone more distinguished than you has been invited by your host. And the host who has invited both of you may come and say to you, 'Give this person your place.' And then in disgrace, you would start to take the lowest place. But when you're invited, go and sit down at the lowest place, so that when your friend host comes, he may say to you, 'Friend, move up higher.' And then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at the table with you. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." He said also to the one who had invited him, "When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." That first little piece, the parable, is a warning, of course, that if we assume we are better than we are and we sit higher in a higher place than we ought to sit, we may be put in our place. And I really wonder if that phrase, somebody's going to put you in your place, comes maybe from this very parable. And that is a warning that if we are not humble, we may find that we are disgraced. But if we instead accept humility and put on humility, we may actually find ourselves honored. And then the second one is more, I think, of an invitation. Not so much a warning, but an invitation. To whenever we are doing something for someone, Jesus is inviting us to do it not in the hopes of being repaid, but instead doing it simply because we love people, because we're trying to follow the commands of God. And he says we will be repaid, we will be blessed, but not in the way that we might expect. Our family has a kind of a strange phrase we use. I almost hesitate to tell you this at Christmas time. We call it we call it getting retaliatory Christmas gifts. And I'm not sure where that phrase came from, where we originally got it. But we keep a couple of gifts underneath the Christmas tree that are wrapped up and ready to go, but nobody's name is on them. And so if somebody comes and brings us a gift and we weren't expecting it, we have a retaliatory gift ready to give back to them so that we aren't embarrassed. And there is this sense sometimes at Christmas that if I give you a gift, I expect a gift in return or whatever. Jesus turns all that on its head, and he says, don't worry about retaliatory Christmas gifts. Don't worry about, don't invite people over to your house, to your table in order for dinner, hoping that maybe they'll invite you back and that you will be repaid. But instead, invite those who can't be repaid and who can't repay you. And of course, he certainly could be and is talking about literally inviting people to dinner, but much more importantly, he's talking about who is it that we reach out to in love? Who is it that we care for? And it isn't those who can repay us. As Jesus would say, if they do, then we've already been repaid. But it's rather those that Jesus would say in Matthew 25 are the least of these, my brothers and sisters. In Luke 14, he says it's those who are poor, crippled, lame, or blind, those who cannot repay. One of the ways that we do this at First Cumberland, and I want to brag a little bit, is through our Bridge Chattanooga program. And I'm thinking about that a lot because this week Lee and I had the chance to take our horses over to the Tri-State Exhibition Arena in Cleveland, and the Bridge kids met us and they were able to ride horses. But Bridge Chattanooga is a ministry that we have to Dalewood Middle School, which is right behind our church. Most of the children in that school are urban children, and they are children of not of very much means. They don't have the opportunities that many other children might have, and Bridge gives them all kinds of outdoor activities. They get to go rock climbing and mountain biking and hiking and caving and horseback riding. And what we've discovered is what science tells us is that this is not simply opening up the world of outdoors to these children. It's actually opening up the entire world to these children. And just these few experiences we give them may actually change their lives. And then within the context of the church, of course, we're hoping to as well help them know just how much Jesus loves them. Now, none of these children and none of these families are ever going to be able to repay us. What we're doing is a pure ministry to them, and yet we are so blessed. And I came home Monday night so blessed that we got to watch those kids have so much fun riding horses. All but one had never been on a horse before, and by the end of their time, all they wanted to do was canter, 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 which is that fast, fast run that horses do. And it was so great to watch children be afraid of horses and move all the way into being able to canter with horses. And so let me invite you this day to find a way that you can offer a ministry to somebody or some group of people with no expectation of payment in return. It may be that they are unable to repay you and you know that, or maybe you offer some kindness to somebody and make sure that they know that you do not expect and do not want to be repaid, that you're doing it solely because you love them, because you've been commanded by God to do that. We can do these things, and we are blessed when we do these things because God is with us.
Nice job, Arnaya.